All right, what's good, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Stage. This is where I get to talk to people who help run events, both fighting games and esports. And this week I have a guest that is slightly neither, but also slightly both. She is definitely an artist, and I have met her and seen her work at fighting game events. She is Enerjax. Jackie, welcome to Behind the Stage. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am awake. I've had coffee. Hopefully you've had some coffee too if you drink coffee. Coffee or tea person? There's your first question.
I've been tea for so many years and then recently switched to coffee.
Oh.
Not switched so much as incorporated into the daily regime.
Okay, yeah, fair. Black or milk and sugar?
I used to do milk and sugar, especially when I was watching BBC Sherlock a lot, but these days it's just black.
Fair. Oh, that's fair. Black coffee is great. And tea is...
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about tea.
Oh, tea as well.
Coffee, I require
Yeah?
the cream and sugar.
Fair. No, Sherlock, a great show. I say great show. It went downhill after the first season, in my opinion. But no, it was definitely a good show.
Yeah.
So, Jackie, for those that don't know you, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I am an illustrator and concept artist. I actually, these days, have been very much focused on creating original warriors based off of nostalgic characters and items in my past. And I also enjoy creating art of games that I enjoy and love to watch as well.
Cool. So, yeah, I've basically met you at Combo Breaker last year. Was you there 3 years ago? I can't remember.
No, I think that I've only done Combo Breaker twice, and then I did Frosty Faustings twice as well.
Okay, so twice, so that's 2 years ago. Yeah, so this year and last. So yeah, I met you in 2023. You had a nice stall at Combo Breaker, Schaumburg, Chicago. And your art is amazing. Not was, but is amazing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you've also now been published with Udon Entertainment.
Yeah, earlier this year, they had I think it was on Twitter, they had a tweet asking for artists to show off their work because they left a couple of pages open for, I think it was the Street Fighter swimsuit issue of this summer.
Okay.
And I was one of the many who was just submitting some pictures saying, hey, I'd be interested. And I got lucky enough to be contacted and asked to do Captain Commando and Cammy.
Amazing.
Along with other characters. Yeah. So that'll be in the issue this summer.
Yeah. So Summer Swimsuit Edition, which Udon does at least as far as I'm aware every year, and they are a pretty fun read, fun flick through. And yeah, so you've been published by Udon, which is one of the few fighting game related comic publishers, right? I don't think there's many other people that I've solely focused.
So yeah, they also asked me to do a comic cover for Lily.
Oh yeah.
In one of their master comics. So I believe that's out as well. I'm waiting to get my hands on both of them.
And if we get those, can we get you to sign them if you're coming to an event?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to.
Amazing. I will definitely keep my eyes out for that then. So you're an illustrator, you create original artwork with your Warrior series. You are doing another original character at the moment, Slump Man, I think he's called.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, earlier this year, I was just thinking about what if the idea of art block was combined into one character that just kind of roams around sucking the energy out of people. And I came up with this little gremlin-looking dude, Slump Man. And I was like, oh no, I love him, but also it's fun to hate him. So embrace both feelings for this character, please.
No, definitely. I think as creators, as artists, as anyone in that area like yourself, really, that we all have that slump. Doesn't matter if we are like artists, but even in work day to day, like 9 to 5s, like you all just hit a slump and something's just sucking your energy, right? So I definitely relate to Slumpman. Yeah.
Oh, I actually had a fun.
Oh.
Look at this guy.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
He's up to no good.
Definitely. Especially with a cheeky grin like that. For those that are listening, please come watch the YouTube video because you will see a not life-size cutout, but a very quite large cutout of Stuntman.
How big would he be in real life? The thing is when I was creating him, what I loved about drawing him the most is that you can't really draw him poorly. Like, even your most slapdash sketch of him is still Slumpman. You know, he still carries that chaotic energy.
Lovely. I'm going to have to buy a sticker of him. So
yeah,
please.
I actually just ordered some stickers.
Ooh. So yeah, I think next 2025, I will definitely. Oh, there you go. I will actually have that. So yeah, creating Slumpman, like everyone has that sort of mentality once in a while, not often. You can call it writer's block, artist block. It just happens, right? So that's one avenue of inspiration that you've managed to turn around. Because, like I've said, sometimes, like you've said, with having a slump sometimes means that you don't get to do what you really want to do. You have to force yourself to try and break through that barrier, which sucks, honestly.
It's so hard, because I mean, some artists, I guess I'm just not that type of artist, where some artists will thrive on, you know, having things that are bothering them in the day, and then they use that to, well, I guess this is a version of me doing that, but, you know, they're able to communicate how they feel on a bad day through art. But a lot of the times, if I'm having a bad day, I don't feel like drawing at all. You know, I'm just kind of like, it got sucked out of me. And so I feel like this is kind of one way I was able to celebrate the fact that I could take, you know, emotions of just having a crappy day and turn it around a little bit, because I don't get to do that much.
Oh, okay. Hopefully you get to do that bit more, especially with personifying your slumps now. So for those that, again, may not have heard of you, what's your history in the event space as a whole? Not just fighting games, but like what events have you attended and had a stall at? Like, where would they have seen you?
Well, I did mention Sherlock earlier because back when BBC's Sherlock show came out, I was drawing a lot of art, you know, sketching of that show, and there were different conventions that were inspired by that show, and they had like interesting panels and things like that. And that was actually my very first time doing artist alleys. I guess back in 2011 or so.
Wow, okay.
And that was completely new to me. I mean, I'm an old, so even when I was in college, I didn't really get to go to anime conventions or comic conventions the way people did then. I don't know if it's just because I didn't know about them enough to know how accessible they were, or just thinking about doing other things and being busy with other things. But I would say that I feel like my original art really seemed to take fruition maybe about 2016 or so.
Okay.
When I started attending C2E2 and conventions like that. I think that's what really inspired me to continue creating my own ideas along with fan art. I kind of enjoy doing both, you know, like if I'm really inspired by something that I see, it's really fun to draw and illustrate. And then in the meantime, I'm also thinking of characters that I don't get to see on the screen or in games. And I'm thinking, well, like I feel like drawing a character that looks like so-and-so right now. That's what I'm going to do. And when I took original prints as well as fan art prints to C2E2, and I got lots of feedback from the people visiting my table saying, wow, you know, like I really enjoy your original work. That kind of pumped me up thinking, well, if other people like it too, why stop? Just keep going.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the feedback everyone wants to hear, right? Especially if they have a store at an artist alley or even as a big vendor, like, hey, like your stuff's great. I want to buy more of it, please. Like, this is the stuff I like. Please continue doing that side of town instead of like, well, not saying you shouldn't do like the other side of art, but this is what I like. So that's cool. That's awesome. And thank you, everyone that has turned up to an event and said nice things, to giving nice feedback to every artist.
I appreciate it.
Because we all need a bit of love, honestly. And being at events, helping people like run stalls at Artist Alley, it is a thankless task. You have to set up, you have to break down, you have to sell, you have to be sociable to an extent. And that leads on to different questions, which I probably won't ask in this episode. But yeah, so what from Sherlock to attending C2E2, other anime events or anime adjacent events, I guess, and fighting games, like what brought you into fighting games? Like you mentioned, like you have a history of playing video games. So what brought you to like stuff like Combo Breaker and ECT or CEO even?
Well, I guess from the start, I grew up playing video games with my brother. He's my older brother, so and he also had a knack for fighting games. So I'm not very good at fighting games, but I love watching them. It's very fun to watch. I saw him in the arcade all the time playing Capcom versus Street Fighter 2, and just the animation is so beautiful. I'm just constantly watching and staring at basically anything that my brother did. I would study and draw at home.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. And around 2020, everyone was in their homes more, and I fell back into my love of the video games that I enjoyed as a child to embrace that comfort again. So after that, you just start going to these conventions, and then everyone else is reliving the same memories as you, and it's wonderful.
Fair, yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, during 2020, during the pandemic, COVID years, whatever you want to call it, video games was definitely a safe haven, right? So
absolutely.
Side question to that: what sort of games do you like to play? Like, if fighting games aren't your forte, which they don't have to be, what do you like playing?
I'm not alone in loving Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Donkey Kong Country. Actually, at Anime Magic, the convention last summer, Psychic Drive Arcade had a Tetris cabinet there. And I loved Tetris as a child, but I never owned a Game Boy. I always asked for a Game Boy, and I never got one. So I would go to my friend's house and play on her Game Boy and play her Tetris. And I always loved Tetris, and I never got to revel in it, as much as I wanted to. And so at the arcade at Anime Magic, I got to play against someone who happened to also be sitting at the cabinet. And it really lit that fire in me to get back into Tetris. So I did. I got Tetris Effects, and I'm trying Grandmasters 2, and it's really hard. And I'm watching people play online.
Oh, it's yeah, it's a rabbit hole for sure.
It's hard, but it's very it's soothing unless you're not in a good mood, and then it's not so soothing.
Yes, no, definitely. How's your T-spins? Speaking of Tetris, then.
Oh, T-spins. I don't know how people do it. I think it's magic. When I do it by accident, I'm like, yeah, I meant to do that. But it really was an accident. What about yours? Do you play Tetris?
I do play Tetris. Tetris is definitely one of those games where it helps calm my brain down, where I just don't need to think. It's the music, the blocks, the speed. Doesn't matter, the speed. Just it keeps going. And it's just the rhythmic side of it, I guess, without actually being a rhythm game, where you can just go ham and place blocks and let it disappear.
Yes.
Also, I think...
speaking of rhythm games, I like Poppin' Music too.
Poppin' Music is a great game. My personal favourite, my personal like of rhythm games is currently the washing machine, the My.
Oh my gosh, My.
Yeah.
I love playing My. I wish I could skip all of the intro selection 4-minute process.
Yes.
Just get right to the song.
Yes, definitely. You can do, can't you? But once you have a card registered, or is it because you don't have a card registered? You have to.
True. I think I've only played on one that actually did the card registration, and then the others didn't have that capability or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but no,
Mai's great.
My is fun. I call it the washing machine because it does look like a washing machine to me.
It really does.
I'm glad I'm not.
Yeah, at MagFest last year, or was it earlier this year? At the My cabinet, there were 2 players, and they were dressed exactly alike, and they were, I'd have to say, spot on the same level, playing at the same time. I was like, this is amazing.
Synchronous My dancing.
Yeah, it could not have been more synchronous.
Oh man, that it's always fun to watch like top level players, rhythm games playing those games because they're just so in sync and you barely notice any mistakes and it's great.
Yeah.
It's like any rhythm game, like Taiko, DDR, all of them. I can't remember what the one with the floral is. Dance Central? No, Dance something.
Which one?
The one with the light up floor. The one that
DDR?
No, the other one. That's just a full on floor. Like DDR is just the 4 buttons. I can't remember. Like Dance Central. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So your brother brought you into fighting games. That's how you got into starting Artist Alley at Combo Breaker. And was it CEO you said? Or was the other event?
C2E2?
C2E2. Fighting game conventions. So fighting game events.
Fighting games. Combo Breaker, Frosty,
Frosty. That was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all Chicago based. So Midwest, stay alive.
Yeah, I'm gonna try for Evo next year, and I'll see if it happens.
Good luck. Hopefully,
it's just so great, like watching everyone doing what they've been practicing so hard to do, and they do it so well. You get just as much joy watching it as they do playing it. I'm sure. Okay, they probably get a lot more joy playing it than I do watching it, but I really enjoy seeing someone in their element, just doing amazingly at these events. It's so much fun.
I mean, the same could be said for you, especially having a stall at these events. Having so many people come up to you, say your art is great, and buying it. Like I've definitely purchased numerous like stickers and art from yourself. And if I could find my box of stickers, like there's probably quite a few I've got of yours still not stuck on anything. So yeah, Combo Breaker and Frosties. Like again, Midwest, stay mid-best.
Yes.
What do you think like is your most well-known piece of artwork, Jackie?
Sometimes online people will say post your most popular piece, and I never do it because I can't decide. Not that like all of them are wildly popular, but I can't honestly. It's difficult because I have, I have a favorite piece that I've done of JRPGs, which is my Celeste and, oh gosh, I was about to say, Celeste and Locke.
Yeah.
And I was about to call him Orion because I always named him Orion as a kid.
Oh.
I was about to say Celeste and Orion. No, yeah, Celeste and Locke. Like that's one of my favorite JRPG fan arts. And then I guess most recently I have Chun-Li drinking a Tsingtao. I hope I pronounced that right, but the really good Chinese beer.
Yeah.
And I really liked that one because I just happened to be sketching a pose that I did in my sketchbook, and I really liked the ink lines. So I just took a picture with my iPad. I use Procreate on the iPad, and I took a picture of that Chun-Li sketch, brought it into Procreate, and tried to keep as many of the ink lines as I could, but I also started coloring digitally on top of that sketch. And I was like, oh, she kind of reminds me of Chun-Li. I want to turn her into Chun-Li. And I know I start all of these series. I'm doing a blah blah series, and then 3 years later, everyone's like, "When are you gonna finish the series?" But that one, I feel like it's gonna start a Grand Champions poster series, hopefully, that I can do other fighting game characters. Because when I drew Chun-Li, I was thinking of it as an old Chinese beer ad. And I looked up and researched antique Chinese alcohol posters and advertisements.
Yeah.
And I grabbed a couple of different ones that stuck out to me, and I used those as inspiration to incorporate into the Chun-Li beer poster. Funnily enough, last year at C2E2, two women had come by my table with the big Chun-Li poster on display, and they said, I am an antique art collector, and I have an old Chinese beer ad, and she looks just like a couple of the beer ads that we have in our collection. And I said, what? Like that's probably the exact same poster I used as inspiration, because it's a dark green background.
Yeah.
And Chun-Li has this dark green background. So I thought that was amazing that they saw that and they almost instantly knew what the inspiration came from.
Art imitates
and then after that, people were like, oh my gosh, here's some antique French alcohol posters. Can you draw that on? You know? So now I have my work cut out for me.
Yeah, there we go. That is definitely you've definitely posted it on social media.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have seen it, and it definitely looks amazing. It is one of the posters I definitely want to get. It's just transporting it back from the States is a bit of a mission for me.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, that's a me problem. I will deal with that when I get to it. So that's not bad. But yeah, that piece is definitely amazing. I do like that piece. And again, your Final Fantasy VI Sellers and Lock poster also looks great. So you've already answered part of my question of like, how do you reference and where do you grab inspiration, not even drag, but grab inspiration from? So you've answered that question. So next, another question really from what you've just spoken about is your methods of drawing, I guess. So from what you've described, you start lining first with pen and paper, and then you go digital?
Yeah, I suppose it depends. Sometimes I go straight into Procreate. I am that person that, for the most part, starts with the eye, nose, face, then figures out the body. But once in a while, I think, no, I have something else planned, and this takes a lot more, mapping out before I begin, where I have to map out the scene. It depends if it's a background heavy piece or a subject heavy, you know what I mean? If it's more about the subject, or if it's more about the incorporation of the background and the subject. I actually, just the other week, I was at Roundhouse, another tournament that's local in this area, and that was super fun and amazing. And I got the most amazing compliment that I had never heard before, where they said, like, it's amazing how you connect the subject with the background, so that you're bringing both of them out in, a really nice way. And I never thought of myself as any type of background artist or someone who has background art as a strength. But to hear that meant that the practice I was doing with that in the most recent years was actually paying off. So that made me very happy.
Good.
Because usually I just start drawing a subject, more or less. And it usually starts with the head. But I'm trying to get better at not always starting a piece the exact same way, because, sometimes I want a different feel when it's completed. And maybe that has something to do with how the piece begins.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. And with that said, really, the more background heavy pieces you've created, in my memory, has been like the console series, or like gaming era series. Like you've done the PlayStation, the Dreamcast, the Super Nintendo was one of them, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know if I've done the Dreamcast yet, but I really love how the Dreamcast looks. I remember when my brother saved up and bought it, and I thought, oh, this console is so pretty. So I need to get on that.
Yes. No, we have so many projects on the go. Like, there's only so much time in the world, in the day even, just to draw anything.
They're so unfinished.
And that's perfectly fine. Like, we'll get there in a minute. That guy right there, he's causing all the issues. Slump man himself.
Giving me more problems.
But yeah, no, that series of paintings, paintings that you've created for the consoles, like those are quite background heavy pieces, I'd say, personally, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you have a lot going on.
I believe my most background focused pieces are, I would say the one that stuck in my mind is one of the first ones where I'm thinking this is going to be a location piece, and then the characters will also be in it, was the Chrono Trigger. Like, it's kind of like a modernized Chrono Trigger. I forgot the name of it. No. It's the sweet shop, the Japanese sweet shop. So it's the Chrono Trigger characters inside Melchior's sweet shop. And then that one took a lot of me just figuring out what the building was going to look like before I even put the characters into it. And another one is the Demon's Night In, where she's laying in the tatami room, and she has like Final Fantasy VI playing on, the TV, and then there's like scattered manga and snacks and games, and there's a Game Boy. At least she got a Game Boy, because I didn't. Yeah, a couple of those, and another one that's more recent is the Battle Break. It's a Blue Demon piece. Yes. It was actually sort of a Toriyama tribute piece.
Okay.
Where she is a character who, goes out, and like many of my characters, they go out in real life and they have battles, whether they're, in their mind in their daily life or their actual physical battles. You be the judge. But they come home, she's trying to relax, and instead of relaxing by doing anything else, she comes back from a boss battle and turns on Dragon Quest 1 or Dragon Warrior and plays that, and that's the way that she relaxes.
That's fair. No, that I associate myself with that mood. Like, cool, just been outside, had a battle, doesn't matter what sort of battle, but I'm coming back home and I'm chilling with a game. Doesn't matter what it is. A nice JRPG.
Yeah, I was watching a video the other day of someone who competes in tournaments, and he said that he got really inspired by being beaten, and even though he was playing all day at a tournament, he would just come home and turn on a game and practice some more. So I guess it's kind of like that, huh?
Dedication, definitely.
Yes.
So you're sometimes going to Procreate, sometimes you do it by hand first, or pen and paper, sorry. You color in digitally, and you finish digitally.
Right. I feel like a lot of other artists these days that I was chatting with, and it's awesome to chat with other artists in these artist alleys with similar interests. But I was discussing with them the other week, and we all agreed that it's so nice to have time to do art traditionally. But it's that time factor, because when you use paints and, you need a certain amount of time to bring out all of the materials, bring out your water, map out your idea, then you start, and you need painting time. Sometimes you need time in between the paint layers so that they can dry before you can apply more. And then you have cleanup at the end, right? Or else it'll all get knocked over or something. And when you draw digitally, you can kind of just bring out your iPad, draw for 30 minutes, and then you're like, oh, I have somewhere to be, close it. So it's a lot easier to whip out a tablet than it is to do traditional work. However, traditional work feels so good. Like, something about having a pen or ink pen on paper, it's just super satisfying. Maybe not when you get to the point where you're erasing the 8th time and your paper starts to dwindle to nothingness.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just, there's no other feeling like it. As much as I love digital work, and as much as digital work has kind of taken over most of the items that you see at the table if you see me at an artist alley, traditional is my favorite when I actually have a good chunk of day to delve into.
Fair. That's good to know, because digital is not the end all and be all, and traditional definitely has its place for a lot of things, art especially.
And when you mix them, you have mixed media,
Yeah, definitely. And I think that definitely translates in some of your pieces, personally speaking. Like the Chun-Li piece, like the lines aren't clean, but that is the charm of it.
Yeah, like I remember looking at art on that I'd seen online, but I think that they were pieces, photos that were taken in a gallery. And I was just thinking about how amazing it is to see partially unfinished pieces, like pieces where you actually still see some of the baselines, but then they would focus so heavily on finishing off the other part of the piece, but they would leave those original lines in one piece. So it was almost like this cascade of progress that you could see just within one piece. And I forget which piece it was, but it really made me want to embrace the mess that comes with initial sketches and sketch lines. Like I love a dirty sketch line.
No, there is definitely, again, a place for dirty sketch lines because, yeah, like you said, seeing the progression of a piece from, and even like the time-lapse videos some people post of their art pieces, like that is amazing to me because I don't have that skill personally. I don't draw. My stickmen are pretty bad. Which I'm going to jump around a little bit. Mike, what is your history with art then? Did you study art at university at education level?
Oh, yes. I did study art at Indiana University. And my final project was a very short animation that I will never show anyone. That's between me and history.
We'll keep it there. That's perfectly fine.
Nonetheless, I asked my friends to do some voice acting, and I did storyboards and whatnot. And my mentor, still has the book of storyboards, and I'm glad he does because I probably never want to see those again.
Okay, so your history is definitely all within art-based realms. Education, drawing, you draw inspiration from your childhoods, from your big brother and video games, and then you suddenly decided to attend events, to artist alleys to work at. So what drew you to do that?
Oh, which part?
To attend events, to attend C2E2, Animagic.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the reason. I think it was mainly, this is probably why people say support your local cons. Like when I was doing the Sherlock conventions, I would travel to Atlanta.
Right.
And that was because I was like, well, I'm, enjoying Sherlock art, and this is where the Sherlock convention is. But I think when I started to, show off a little bit of an original character or two, not that many, and it was received well, and then I started to draw a little more, I thought, well, it's not a Sherlock convention, but there's this comic convention that's just downtown, since I'm, local to the Chicago area, and I applied to that. And I guess just being around other artists and seeing, at one point I thought, well, this is what I draw. And it's, you're in, not that I felt like I was in a box, but I felt like this is what people are enjoying of the things that I make. But then once that box broadens, it really makes you think of other possibilities, other places you can go, and that there are people everywhere that enjoy what you do.
Yeah, no, worldwide as well, because again, I'm from England and I appreciate your art. And yeah, I'd buy more of it wherever possible. It's just, like I said, shipping is a pain. But whenever I turn up for Combo Breaker and you're there, I'm definitely buying a few more pieces, a few more stickers. So, yeah, support your locals, turn up, finding common ground with other artists, and then suddenly having a stall there. Was that the same for fighting game events for Frosties and Combo Breaker?
Oh, yes. Actually, I happened to go to a birthday party that I was chatting with someone about, and that someone is Mike, who runs Frosty Faustings, and I happened to mention that I like to do, art that also includes some video games. And he said, oh my gosh, you should apply. Like, there's people who will look at your portfolio, and these types of pieces seem like they would fit in really well at Frosty Faustings. And so, I submitted an application and went through the process, and it was fantastic. And then, just Fighting game tournament artist alleys are so wonderful. It's a different mood than a comic convention, you know? Like, gosh, I don't know how to describe why the energy is so different, but it's really fun, and I look forward to each and every one. I don't even know if I can put my finger on what feels different about it. Maybe it's just because even in the off hours, when I'm done tabling, I can just run around and watch people, you know, play their favorite games, and maybe I'll be able to play a little bit too. And everyone's talking about the things that I want to hear. You know, what did you play when you were younger? And there's big gaps in my video game history. My fault. Like, I didn't seek out, even though I enjoyed certain games, I didn't seek out others. I don't know why. Maybe I just wasn't that type of child that was like, oh, well, what else is there? Maybe I wasn't curious enough in that department. I'm not sure. And now I'm discovering all of these games that came out decades ago that I really enjoy, that I really like. Like, I never played Mother 2 until this year, which is super embarrassing.
I've never played it myself, so don't worry.
Huh?
I've never played it myself, so don't worry.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. But what's really great about the tournament community is that no one's going to knock you for it, because there's so much out there that, you know, people are like, oh yeah, it's great. They aren't like, oh my gosh, she hasn't played so-and-so. You know, everyone's super welcoming, and they just want to share what they love too. And they're like, hey, if you like this game, you should try that game. And I don't know, it's very accepting and a loving community.
I'd like to believe we are definitely accepting and loving. There are some bad eggs that does happen with any community, but we try to kick them out as quickly as possible whenever that happens.
I'm in the bubble. I'm in the happy bubble.
You're in the happy bubble, so you're perfectly fine. You are great. And yeah, no, especially plus your art as well. Again, wonderful. So can you tell me or talk us through the process of applying and then tabling at Frosty's, or even Combo Breaker, whichever one you prefer? Like, you met Mike, he said, come table, you put in an application. What happened?
Combo Breaker, also amazing and lovely. He visited all the vendors and was thanking them, and oh, it's so great. It's so nice and welcoming.
But yeah, no, so no, Rick is a lovely guy. I will eventually get him on. He is a busy man. But yeah, so you put in an application. Well, sorry, if I could speak, application. What happens after that? You get a message. Yes. Like what? How do you get from applying to getting accepted to tabling to preparing for a fighting game event with your stock? Like, not many people know what happens. I definitely don't know what happens.
Well, I think first of all, I would suggest following the shows that you want to table at on social media. If they have an email newsletter that you can receive emails from and updates, I think that's the most important, because there's a lot of content online. There's a lot that you'll miss when you're scrolling. Even if you follow them on social media, sometimes I've missed days where the Artist Alley applications open. But I'm more likely to see the heading in my email where it says applications for Combo Breaker are now open. And I'm like, okay. And then I will go and submit that. So I feel like that's your number one is to, you know, subscribe to their email or newsletter so that you get that update, so that you don't miss the deadline. And then number two, I paid for it doesn't have to be fancy, but I paid for one of those websites where you can throw your art up. It can just be super simple. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, as long as they can go to a place where they can see the work that you prioritize the most, your best work, the work that you enjoy, and you know, that defines you. And even though they also do look at maybe your Instagram, maybe your Twitter, it is nice to have a website where they can see all of your pieces, just, you know, without having to see reposts that you have done from other people, or, you know, if you're just chatting about something, maybe those will get in the way. But if you have a website that just has all of your art as a gallery, that's also very helpful. And then after you submit an application, depending on the show, it could take a little longer for them to get back to you, but eventually they do respond via email, and they let you know how long you have to pay that table fee. You always have to pay after you've been accepted. So applications are, at least in this country, applications applying is free.
Yeah.
And then after you are accepted, then, you know, you need to pay the table fee.
Sure.
And then after that, you're in, baby. So, so then it just comes down to what's really nice is when I see other artists too, they will mention online like, hey, I got into Frosty Faustings. What do you guys want to see? Like, you know, like if you as an artist are saying, hey, I have free time and I don't want to draw one specific thing, I'm open to other suggestions. Ask the audience, you know. And, you know, if they suggest something that you're like, hey, that sounds great, and I already know there's someone who wants something like that, you're good to go. And then it's just making, you know, whatever you think people visiting your table will want to buy.
Fair. So with Frosty Faustings, you met Mike, the event organizer, through a friend's birthday party.
Yes.
For Combo Breaker, was that just by sheer luck, like you said, like looking for their newsletter, signing up to that, and seeing that applications were open, or did you like manage to meet Rick like in a back alley somewhere?
I did, you know, I believe he was at Frosty, and he, you know, mentioned Combo Breaker. But not only that, I think that what gets my ears to perk up about other shows is other artists vouching for those shows. That's why it's so great that these tournament communities, gosh, they treat the artists really well. And when other artists are saying, hey, did you know that applications for blah, blah show are open now? And I say, oh, well, okay, what's happening there? And then they'll tell me about it, or like they'll tell me when it is, you know, how great it is to see all of the people come to their table. And then I'll say, okay, well, I didn't know about this show, but now I'm going to apply too. You know what I mean? So
apply to check it out.
Not only is it a great situation to meet, you know, your customers, the people who are coming to your table, but it's also great to chat with everyone that you're working next to.
Yeah. And it's a family community, especially that at Artist Alley, especially fighting games. One thing I feel Europe fighting game events don't do well or at all is Artist Alley, which is a shame. So this is why I have you on, because you have tabled at big events like Combo Breaker, like Frosty Faustings. Like, you can't say Combo Breaker isn't one of the largest fighting game events outside of EVO in Vegas. So having you on is definitely eye-opening for a lot of people, and hopefully any European event organizers realize the value in having more artists, because it's people want to buy art of their favorite character, of their favorite game, not just fighting games, but in general. So when you get the correspondence to reply to say you're in, and that is from the event organizers themselves, was it from Rick and Mike, or was it from other?
They have a large team, so I'm sure they have people in their team that are in charge of the jury system. You know, like the juries will look at someone's portfolio. So I don't think, as far as I know, I don't think they themselves are a part of the art jury. They have people who are, you know, used to curating and deciding which artists, and not only just an artist by themselves, but like, oh, well, this artist and this artist, we'd have two slightly different styles to incorporate more variety. And I believe that those juries are the ones that decide which artists are accepted.
Yeah.
No,
that's cool. No, that's good to know. Because again, the name of this podcast is Behind the Stage. We're trying to peek behind the curtains to see how things work so that people could end up helping or running an artist alley booth like yourself. The question that just slipped my mind. No, I have it. It's come back. This is the rare time that the brain cell has flown back into my head. How different is it in applying to, say, C2E2 or an anime convention versus something like Combo Break and Frosties?
It's a good question. Let me think. I'm not sure they are that different. It's actually quite similar, at least here in the States. I also go to ECCC when I get accepted in Seattle. And yeah, it's, I guess ECCC and C2E2 are both run by ReadPop. So I think they're both run by the same company. But it's very much the same process, I believe.
Yeah.
I do think that the tournament artist alleys strangely might have a little more, it's hard to phrase this right, but I feel like gaming tournaments might take care of their artists in other ways that comic conventions might not.
I can believe that. I have stories there myself, so don't worry. You're not by yourself thinking that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure how to put it, but more or less, that's what I'll allude to.
Yeah. No. They. I will say it because not being hired to run an artist alley or run a booth or table. Sorry. You are shepherded into an area. And then you are pretty much left to your own devices.
And like those comic conventions are so large, so I get it. But you also can't help but notice the differences at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I was also thinking about was, oh, no, it's gone.
No. That brain cell is just running away.
Oh, yeah.
So that's fine. If it comes back to you.
I just thought of it again.
Go for it.
Okay. All right. Something else that I just thought of was that being in the tournament artist alleys is wonderful because you have people who do other game-related projects and works on the side, and then they see they see your passion for, the games that you have that are interesting to you. But if those relate to the project they're working on, it's a great place for them to hire artists, even local artists that, they can add them to the team of the project they're currently working on. So I've been asked a couple of times, sometimes at Frosty and sometimes at Combo Breaker, if I were available to help them with their own personal indie gaming project, So it's really nice that you have a central point where people can go to, not only to, be with everyone that enjoys the same games, but also to create your own with a bunch of other people with the same passion.
Oh, definitely. That sounds like a great opportunity. And one that will only really ever happen in an offline environment when you're surrounded by people of like-minded nature. So that's definitely cool.
Yeah, because when you're online, it's just a sea. It's so difficult.
You drop that one keyword in social media.
Put a face to the art, but it's difficult to find a person that you think would be perfect to incorporate into a gaming project that's already underway or that has been talked about, but they just don't know who they need for, a promotional poster or something like that.
Yeah. You drop a specific keyword into social media and you suddenly get bots coming into your DMs and it's just a flood of nonsense. So yeah, having it in person definitely helps a lot. So the application of a anime convention versus a tournament event, not much difference. Is there much difference in how you prepare like, are you one of those people that ask, like, hey, guys, I'm coming to this event, what sort of art do you want? Or do you have a set list of, hey, I've already created X, Y, and Z, I have stock of all of these, and this is what I'm going to bring? And does that vary for each event as well?
Well, so I also love going to MagFest. And the first time I went, I thought, well, if MagFest is a show that's based around video game music, I'm going to think about the games of the video game music that I love, the games that I think that other people would resonate with too. And that's when I got started on the Terra, Celeste, and Locke / Orion, and other, JRPG fan art, so that I could bring those to see how they do. And, with fighting game tournaments, I'll probably dive more into fighting game art. Not that, I haven't sold each other's pieces at the other shows. That happens all the time too, because, people love games. They love all the games.
Yeah.
Or, everyone has different genres that they enjoy as human. But, for the most part, I try and not tailor specifically, but like if I'm in the mood to do a piece for a fighting game tournament that's coming up, I'll, have my pick of the litter, because there's so many amazing, cool character design fighting game characters out there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So obviously you have to think of where you're going to be tabling at and sort of semi-cater the majority of your stock towards that audience.
Yes.
And speaking of amazing character designs in fighting games, what is your favorite sort of design of a fighting game character?
Oh, it's no secret. I love Tara Branford. Yeah, she's amazing. I don't, maybe she's my drawing muse. The other day I was just sketching a figure for practice, and then it just turned into Tina magically. She used her Esper powers on me, and all of a sudden it was her. So I just love her character design so much.
Fair. No, her art, how she's drawn, the whole everything basically is wonderful. Honestly. So
I also like Chun-Li a lot too.
Sure, who doesn't, right? And your art shows that.
Which is also no secret.
No. So the couple of questions I have, one thing that definitely comes to mind, and this question you can say no to answering, is what was your worst experience at any event? Or what was your worst event, even? Not even experience, because I'm sure there's plenty of, hopefully there's not that many bad experiences, but what was your worst event you've tabled at?
I don't know if I have anything that sticks out.
Good.
I definitely have noticed when, the recipe for disaster is if you arrive at your table after the artist alley hours have begun. Like, I think that's everyone's, worst way to start a convention is when you're sweaty and you're dragging all your stuff to the table and people are shopping around, you know what I mean? So I don't think that's happened to me maybe more than once or twice, whether it be because of traffic or if your flight gets in late. That never ends well. Over the course of the weekend, you start to feel better. But yeah, so that's why I'm always crazy early or try and set up the day before when it comes to these events, because you never want to be setting up while people are shopping. It doesn't make you feel good.
No, definitely not. And it's also hours lost of actual
that too.
Right.
Feeling rushed is never a good feeling.
Definitely not. That's the one question I had. The other I have is really how do you recommend people to start tabling at events?
A lot of people ask about how they themselves can get started. And I think everyone has this similar answer of, you don't have to start big. I know it's a little daunting when you go to an artist alley and you see someone who has, 40 prints up and all of these items like charms and stickers and everything all made. But the reality is that's over a year or 2 years or 5 years of just collecting merchandise that you've created. And it's never an overnight thing, if you have a couple of pieces that you really like, blow them up, make them big. You can have like 5 gorgeous pieces and a couple of small things. I think that a lot of people do recommend to have items that are within a variety of prices, so you aren't limited to one person with a particular budget. You have something for everyone. I think that's kind of the general rule of a good way to start at a table. But if you're starting to feel daunted, don't worry too much. It's more about, having a handful of things. And then next year, you have a couple more handfuls. And then all of a sudden, you have so many more items on your table to offer. But everyone starts somewhere.
Good. That's good advice. I'm glad you've said that. Being someone that has tabled so often now at numerous events, it's experience speaking right there. And speaking of experience, this is going to be your personal opinion, so no one take this as fact. But what is your ideal table setup? Like you mentioned, some people have like 40 prints with wireframes, so it's just covered, and people are just overloaded with art. Like, what is your personal favorite way of tabling to display your pieces?
I'm actually in the middle of switching from a table setup that I've done for so many years to a different table setup. I don't know. The crazy part is, like, I have one of those poster portfolios, the 11 by 17s where you can flip through.
Yeah.
And they're completely full. I'm out of pages. And when you get to that point where you can't even, I don't know how many times people come to my table and, I have as many posters as I can fit. And I say, oh, please look through the portfolio because I couldn't fit everything up here. So there might be something in there that you're not even seeing. And I have not cracked the code on the best display. And I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like when I walk around in all of these glorious artist alleys, and I watched a lot of videos of like Anime Expo in LA. I have not tabled there, but everyone's talking about how everyone stepped up their game for Anime Expo Artist Alley, and I was like, oh no. If they're doing like amazing setups, and I'm like, beep boop, here's some posters. I don't know how people do it. It seems like they all have it together. And I'm like, what do I do? So I don't have an answer for you there. I'm still like flapping around trying to figure out what I can do to maximize visibility with the art that I have accumulated over the years.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Like, again, that's experience, and trying to find, there is no right answer to that one, I believe, because everyone's art is different.
I think that the answer to having too many pieces is that's when people start to get 2 tables, but I don't want to fly with like 4 pieces of luggage. I'm lazy and old, so I would like to fly as minimally as possible.
Yeah. Like how heavy is your suitcase when you fly with stock? Like how for the stock suitcase, not just for yourself.
I've gone over the 50-pound limit a ridiculous amount of times and paid $80 it's just, and I'm like, well, I'm making that money back, so it's okay.
It's a business expense. It's fine.
It's tax deductible, baby.
Yeah, let's go. It's fine. And that's with...
Yeah. So, and I see some people, like I watch, that's another thing I'd like to recommend. I love watching other artists' artist alley videos. I like to see how they pack. I like to see how they display their table. A lot of them aren't, exactly relatable to my style of table because I don't do charms, and a lot of them are maybe like charm and 3D art heavy, and mine is pretty simple in the sense of it's just like flat pieces.
Yeah.
So I might not be able to, take all of what they're dishing out and apply it to my own as easily.
Sure.
But it is very helpful when I see, like, recently how small a floating display, the ones with the bars, and people attach their posters to those bars, like, it's so much smaller condensed in your luggage than when I was putting 30 grid pieces stacked in my luggage. Like, even though it's about the same weight, I recently switched to floating display, so I'm tampering with that now, trying to get the balance right. But at least right now I know, hey, it's going to take less physical space. It doesn't really reduce the weight. The balancing act is ever constant because the items that you provide are also going to be slightly changing over the years.
No, of course, for sure. And that raises a really good question now, with what you mentioned earlier about other artists talking about different events and recommending and vouching for these events and how people set up and what they pack and how they pack. Like, what is one ask you may have for every artist who are tabling at events? Like, what is one ask you would say, like, hey guys, this is what you should do, or what I would recommend having done? Because I know I spoke to you before when I met you. Like, luckily, I took a picture of your stool, of your table, and he's like, oh, do you mind if I have that? Because, like, no one ever really takes pictures of my table. Like,
it would be cool to see. I haven't seen this trending or anything yet. It would be very cool to see a hashtag like this going around, but to see a picture of, or video of, someone's completed display, with the items that they're selling as well as how they display it on, and then a picture of how many luggages they fitted in with their luggage open, so you can see like what it takes to fit that into how much they're taking when they travel. I think that would help artists being like, well, all right, I don't want to deal with this person's, 4 or 5 luggages worth. So maybe I'll, take advice from this artist who is packing more similarly to what I want to do. Yeah. I think that would be very helpful.
Cool. No, there you go, guys. There you go. If you are planning to do an artist alley, or if you are trying to get artists to come table at your event, there's some information for you to think of and help.
That'd be great. I would jump in on that too. Like, this is what I bring and this is what I have to lug with me on the plane and whatnot. Some people, I talk to a lot of artists who ship boxes. That makes me weary, but apparently everyone does it and it seems to be fine. Like, they ship ahead of time. They'll ship to the hotel.
Okay.
They're staying at.
Yeah. There you go. There's another option. Slightly more expensive, I'm sure, but definitely less...
More
planning. And obviously the worry of logistics of boxes not turning up. But definitely an option. Final question for you, Jackie. Possibly two. What is one thing you want people to know about when tabling at an event? For something that you think people don't really know, don't appreciate, something that you, when you table, go, well, some events do this, some events don't. It would be nice if everyone was the same in that experience. Like we mentioned earlier with anime events versus how you're treated at fighting game events. Like, there is obviously some disconnect there, possibly due to size. But what is one thing, as a vendor yourself, want people to realize and know?
Oh, no. Give me a second.
That's fine. Take your time.
I'm gonna...
Yes. Everyone take a drink.
The answers are here.
And that's a drink of water, not alcohol. If you're driving, please don't drink.
It's water. I'm so dehydrated. Let me think. That's a good question. Like what I would want them to implement
Yeah.
if they haven't already.
Yeah. And that could be from the event organizer side, or even as someone like myself, just Joe random that's walking around trying to buy some art and go, like, what would help your experience in selling or tabling in either aspects, like as the event person, help trying to get you guys in, or as someone that's trying to buy your art?
I was very surprised and shocked in a very good way when I tabled at Frosty Faustings for the first time. And there was a room not only for the staff to grab a snack or coffee, but also for the artists could do that too. And I thought, I even had to ask, I'm like, are we allowed to be in here? And they were like, yeah, go get a coffee, and there's all these snacks on the table. Grab some chips, bring them to your table. And I was like, what? These are for us too? And then I noticed that they did that at Combo Breaker too, because I hadn't experienced that in the Artist Alley previously. It was very, very sweet, because I know that some Artist Alleys, and these are very nice too. They'll have break rooms where you can go and lay down. I personally have never had time to utilize a room with the empty chairs where you can just kind of like sit and lay down. But something like refreshments or snacks where I can grab them and then go back to my table, that was very eye-opening for me, and I wasn't used to that, and it's still stuck with me today.
No, that's fair, and definitely one thing that fighting game events does well, especially for something like Combo Breaker. Again, the US events, the only one I've been to is Combo Breaker, and they treat staff, event volunteers, artists, anyone that's being a vendor really well. Is that they have that staff room, that amber room, I guess it's not really a green room, where you have
catered something. Yeah, and the fighting game tournaments, they know how to fuel people. So,
we keep going for hours.
Better way to keep everyone, energized.
Yeah. Versus an event like Reed Pop, which I don't mind saying, there's going to be.
Oh, have you worked at?
Yes, I have London Comic Con every October, because because we have two. We have one in May, one in October. The one during Halloween is the one I normally go at. The one in May is during Combo Breaker, actually, normally. So, but yeah, Reed Pop is bring your own water, bring your own snacks, I could
not find their break room one year. I was looking for the break room, and I know they gave a map, but I couldn't find it. But it was a very large event.
For Combo Breaker?
It could be my bad directions. No, what C2E2?
Oh, C2, okay. Yeah, that C2E2, I've seen the venue size is extremely large. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to find it myself. So yeah,
also, I don't think I trust myself reading a map anyway. So that was probably on me.
I'm sure it's not that bad. But yeah, there you go, guys. For anyone running an anime convention, you guys can do better just by providing water and snacks for all your artists.
Water and snacks are great. I think I did find it one year, and the water was empty, and I was like, and
sad times. That's not good. Hydration is definitely required. We are all always somewhat dehydrated somehow. So Jackie, my last question is for you is, where can people find you? What do you want to plug? Like this, we're coming to the end of the episode, so thank you very much for your time. Where can people find you? Where can people find your art? Where can they buy your art? What's the next event you're going to? This is your time to talk some more and plug yourself.
Okay. Enerjax, ENERJAX. Basically all of the things. I don't Twitch or YouTube, so maybe not there. But you can find my link tree that way. You can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, those places. You can see my art there, and I have my website, my gallery that you can browse through, and I try and keep my website updated. Oh, that's another thing. Keeping your website updated with the shows that are upcoming that you've gotten accepted to is also really nice. Then other people looking at your Artist Alley can see where you've been and then where you're going to be. my very next show, for the first time ever, I am doing a show in Japan, in Tokyo, at Design Festa in Tokyo Big Sight in November. So I haven't been to Japan in many years. I used to teach English there, and I'll be using my extremely rusty Japanese. And yeah, if you are going to Design Festa in November, I will be at table E378, I believe, on the West Wing, first floor. And what was your other question? What else was I supposed to plug?
Anything you want to plug? Where can people find you? Where can people buy your merch? Buy your art?
Oh, yes.
Merch?
Yes. And I got accepted to MagFest. So in 2025, if you are in the marketplace, I will have a table at MagFest, and that's where you can buy hopefully new art that I've come up with since you're seeing this video.
And hopefully some Slumpman merch as well.
Yes. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Any online purchases, or is this all offline only?
I do have an online shop at Store Envy. So I believe it's storeenvy.com/Enerjax. I think the Envy is just one E. So the store and the Envy share an E.
Okay.
And yeah, that's my online shop. And I have the posters that we talked about earlier in this episode.
Perfect. Yeah, guys, check everything out. They will be in the description. Honestly, please, if you like what you see, purchase what you like from Jackie's store. She is a wonderful artist and a wonderful person, and so lucky for her to say yes to being on this episode and answering all these questions I have for her. But yeah, Jackie, honestly, that was my last question. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck at Japan Design Festa and all the other events, and hopefully I will see you soon when I come back over to the States.
Thank you so much. And if you see a lost orange-haired person in Japan, help.
Actually, no, one final question I do actually have. What is one thing, if people decide to bring you gifts when you are tabling, what would you like?
Oh gosh, I'm not a very good gift receiver, to be honest. I feel so bad. Like, oh no, if I don't have something in return, I don't feel good. Honestly, the most rewarding things that I have received are comments, like the comments that fuel me. Really, like if someone wants to chat about a specific piece of art that like some part of it really resonates with them, that is the best gift. I love hearing about, the way that my art is interpreted, and if it inspires you, or if it makes you want to draw, or, if you want to see something that you haven't seen. I just love chatting about it. So that's the best gift for me. So anyone who has come by and talked with me, I honestly, truly, truly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
There you go, guys. So yeah, go to an event, see Jackie, and give her numerous compliments about her art.
I don't want to receive compliment, but if you want to chat,
have a chat with Jackie. Cool, guys. Thank you again so much for listening. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.